Okay, in this video, I want to tackle one of the problems that comes up so often for early stage coaches. And essentially, it's that they put off their surrounding friends and families from their coaching practice. Instead of being able to help those that they're closest to, end up distancing themselves a little bit. And that can be sad because obviously, you have a gift, you want to share it, you want to help. And it's pretty sad when, those closest to you don't want to have anything to do with what you're working on. But it comes up so often. And the reason being, I think, is that, if you think about early stage coaches, we learn, we experience the benefits of coaching ourselves. It makes a big impact on us. And as we start to acquire some of these tools too, and the perspective, we start to see issues in our friends and our families. And we start to say, oh, I can help you, just sit down in a coaching session. And that can be pretty triggering for friends and family to be told that they have problems. And also, to be invited to sit into a formal coaching session. I think the easiest way to put a bit of perspective on this is if a surgeon was learning their trade and they said to you, hey, I'm learning some fantastic things in work. How would you feel about a trial surgery? You'd absolutely run a bloody mile. And although the example is pretty extreme in that case, to be fair, as coaches, when we're doing our work with people, it's a sensitive space. We're working with real vulnerabilities. And so, of course, people might see you as a little bit raw and distance themselves. So this video is all about tackling that. And what I encourage early stage coaches to do is to dive into the practice, learn it, read it, research it, and experience it together with fantastic coaches. And as you start to acquire the skills, and let's zone in on what they really are as a life coach. It's the first thing of learning to be present. Learning to be present in front of another. Learning to serve the person in front of you. To hear if there is a problem or a stress or a strain. And ask the right questions to help open somebody up. To meet them with a presence that helps them feel safe and allows them to be vulnerable, to bite your tongue, to not interrupt, to allow the person to just really share. And when they have, to ask questions that help open them up all the more, or help them look at things from a different perspective and solve the problems themselves. So as a coach, we are not here to solve people's problems. We are here to help people solve their own problems. So what I say is, once you've developed this understanding, it's not to identify or tell your friends and family about their problems, but instead I would say is to, and definitely not to say, hey, how would you feel about a coaching session together? Because I think that in itself is off-putting. But instead to embody the coach that you're aspiring to be. And to meet your friends and family as that coaching self with the presence that we've talked to. To really feel them out when we're with our family or friends and feel if there is a problem, if there is a stress, if there's a strain. And to ask questions to help somebody open up, to help somebody share, to meet them in a way that makes them feel safe, it makes them feel comfortable sharing with you. And then not interrupting, biting your tongue, listening. And when it comes time to ask a question or to make your point, to ask a question that helps open that person up all the more and helps perhaps somebody see things from a different angle and solve their own problems. And that there's no ego in this. To be fair, you're probably, it's like a coaching camouflage. But if you do this right, the person in front of you is one going to experience something beautiful, which is actually just to share and not to be interrupted and not have a competitive conversation, the likes of which so many of us find ourselves in so often. And they'll have a healing conversation where perhaps if things go really well, they might actually unburden themselves or see a problem from a different angle and solve it. And what you'll find is that person will walk away from that conversation probably quite casually. You won't get a thanks, you won't get a hug or anything like that. But a day or two later, they'll make contact and say, you know, that conversation was incredible. I really felt lighter from it. You know, the problem that I have, I've kind of found a different solution to it. And you'll find you'll be met with gratitude. But the most important thing, curiosity. It's at that point that the person's going to say, you know, is this what you're learning in your coaching? Is this, is this what becoming a coach is all about? And that difference where instead of like pushing yourself on others, you're actually showing up as your best self, that coach that you're aspiring to be. And you're delivering the impact that it can bring. And you're letting people feel that impact and letting that stimulate curiosity for what you're up to. Navigating things from that angle is going to have those that you surround yourself with most, so your friends and your family, really curious, really interested, and most probably saying, you know, that conversation was incredible. What would it be like to actually work with you more formally? Versus them distancing themselves. And I share this because, to be honest, I see it coming up so often. And if you're watching this and it can, perhaps it sparks a bit of curiosity or puts a bit of a different slant on things for going forward for you, brilliant. I would love to hear any feedback you have or any experiences you've had in the comments below. And if you put this practice in motion, I'd love to hear about the impact it brings. I hope it really helps you.